Interest rates in Australia have been a contentious point of discussion for a while now. The US has started cutting, UK has started cutting, our neighbours across the sea in New Zealand have started cutting. So when are our interest rate cuts coming? Let's jump straight into it and look at what the current interest rate predictions are for 2025, and then we'll circle back around and we'll talk a little bit about what this means and how the predictions can vary. One of the best tools we have to really try and predict what interest rates are going to do is the fixed income market, because fixed income assets like bonds have an inverse relationship to interest rates. So in more simple terms, if you're holding a fixed interest asset, well then you want to know what the interest rate's going to do, because it's going to dictate the price of that asset you're holding. One very handy tool we have to predict interest rates under this philosophy is the RBA Rate Indicator. It's a tool that uses market prices of the ASX 30-day Interbank Cash Rate Futures to predict whether the Reserve Bank of Australia will change the official cash rate at its next meeting. It calculates the percentage chance of a rate hike, a cut, or no change based on how traders are pricing these future contracts. In other words, it reflects market expectations for interest rates. As at the 2nd of January, the ASX 30-day Interbank Cash Rate Futures February 2025 contract was trading at 95.725. indicating a 73% expectation of an interest rate decrease to 4.1% at the next RBA board meeting. If you scroll down a little further, you can also see the predictions over the next 18 months. At this stage, it's suggesting we will see the official cash rate at 3.56% by the end of the year, which would be a 0.79% reduction from where we currently are. The other good predictor of interest rates is to have a look at what the big four banks are saying. NAB is predicting the first drop to come in June 2025. Westpac is also predicting the first rate cut to come in June. ANZ is predicting a May 2025 rate cut. And CBA, well, they're a little bit more optimistic, and they're in line with financial markets, predicting a 0.25% rate cut in February. Now, the hard part about all this is that predictions are often wrong. And that's really because everything is constantly in flux. And it's particularly hard at the moment because there's quite a difference in rhetoric between what Michelle Bullock at the RBA is saying. She comes across a little bit more dovish on interest rates cuts, and what financial markets are predicting. Financial markets are a lot more bullish on interest rate cuts. So there is this difference between the two. But the key driver behind what interest rates do really comes back to inflation and expectations of inflation. And there's a lot of things that are potentially inflationary floating around in the economy at the moment. We have a very low rate of unemployment here in Australia, which is inflationary. Trump obviously won the US election and his policies are considered inflationary. The Australian dollar is quite low at the moment, which may be inflationary. So there's a lot going on. And also don't forget that here in Australia, we didn't increase interest rates as aggressively as a lot of other countries. But to put things into context, high interest rate isn't necessarily a bad thing for all investors. So generally speaking, if you're an accumulator, you hold debt, you want to invest in growth assets, then yeah, high interest rates isn't great, you'd prefer low interest rates. But if you're a retiree and you want to generate a decent return on your capital without taking a huge amount of risk, well then high interest rates help you. So at the moment, you can still get roughly 5% on a term deposit. Now, with the annual inflation rate running at about 2.8%, it means that you are getting a real return of over 2% with taking very little to no risk on your money, which is a good thing if you want that security. So what's my prediction for rate cuts in 2025? Well, to be honest, my opinion holds very little weight. You're much better off using the resources that we just spoke about. However, if I had to pin my name next to a date, I'm gonna go with June 2025. I just think that me and Michelle Bullock were a little bit more dovish.